So we've just finished block 1 of pre-season for Exeter Chiefs 2025-26. How would you summarise the work that you've gotten done with the players?
Good work, pretty tough from a load point of view. At the end of the season when the players went away, Rob stood in front of them and made it clear what was the expected of them coming back in, and all of them, bar a couple, hit their targets at the start, and then that's given us a really good platform to build on from there.
And what kind of elements have you introduced to their game now that you're in charge of the attack?
Yeah, I've tried to get a bit more skills involved, more touches of the ball, so we sort of tried to find times in the programme where, which potentially would have been dead time, we're trying to use it to actually make sure they've got a ball in their hand of some sort, and they're just moving it and getting comfortable and familiar with the ball movement side of things. So they come in the morning, and there's certain things. Ricky Pello's been brilliant in setting up little games and challenges for them. They've all embraced it, and that's been the main focus, I think, of this first block, is just getting familiarity with the ball and trying to improve their skill levels.
And how much homework did you have to do to figure out the key areas that you needed to target coming in?
Yeah, I think working the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season was probably, on one thing, a good thing. One side of things a good thing for me, because it gave me a chance to meet individuals and sort of have a little flavour of how things are done, and also give individuals a flavour of how I like to work. And then maybe the downside of it was I wasn't able to implement things as I would have wanted, or I chose not to due to the nature of what went on. But coming in 4 weeks ago, I was very clear that I had a clean slate, and I'd worked with all the boys, or most of the boys, for that 3 or 4 weeks at the end of the season, which was really helpful and able to enable us to hit the ground running.
And we've got some new faces in camp. What has the mindset shift kind of been to leave last season behind and start anew?
Yeah, I think at the end of last season there was a line in the sand was drawn, and coming in on day one here, it was really clear our objectives of the first 4-week block around the skill levels and around bits and pieces. It was all laid out to the players on day one, what's expected of them to being a chief, and Rob gave a brilliant presentation to them all about being a chief and what it means and how to behave and things like that. And that allowed us to get our standards right off the pitch. And then as coaches, we were really clear with where we wanted to get to at the end of the first 4-week block. And I'm pretty comfortable after this morning that we're not too far away, or we've actually hit the levels we were hoping to get to.
Have you had any real highlights throughout the block so far?
Not really. I think the last try of the Con Games today was probably as good a try as we've seen in terms of their ball movement. But no, I mean, the work they put in, the effort, the lads on the beach, the sessions on the Friday down on Exmouth Beach have been really tough, but they've embraced it. Real just get on with it attitude, which has been great. It has been really hard, not hardship, but really hard. And the way they've interacted and the way they're gelling has been really good. The flip of that, or the easy side of it, everyone has the best pre-season ever, and it's sort of all you can worry about is the first 4 weeks. Have they been as good as we've hoped they could be? Well, I think at the moment they are. There's still plenty of room to go, but there's still plenty of time until the season. It's going to come around faster when it does get there, but important we go away now, have our break, and then come back in week 5 of training and make sure we build on what we've done so far.
Have any individuals stood out for you?
Not really. I think they're all of them. There's guys like Jens is in probably his 36th pre-season and doing really, really well. So competitive, winning, trying to win everything. In the forwards, led the group really well. Ethan Roots has spoken really well. From the back, there's a slightly different balance. It's been quite a young group. Tamati's had a really good start. He's come back, and I think his various injury bits and pieces have been put behind him, touch wood. So I think he's been really impressive from that point of view. But I think just the way they're all talking to each other, there's a positive attitude. I think on day one, from a back's point of view, we talked about having a positive attitude and the way we talk to each other and our body language, and they've certainly taken that on board.
And how important are those leaders going to be for you as coaches to make sure that people stay on target?
Yeah, I think it's massive. Peer pressure from coaches. Players get bored of hearing coaches' voices, and then secondly, when they're on the pitch, coaches can't really influence them. So it's important that you've got a leadership group who are on board with what you're trying to do and have clear understanding of what you're trying to do and how you're trying to do it and why you're trying to do it. And once they're on board, they can police things on the pitch, and then hopefully as games come round, when things don't go as you would expect in the first 10 or 15 minutes or at certain points in the game, they've got enough knowledge and experience to grab hold of the group and get everyone back on track under pressure.
And how have the new signings settled into that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the compliment to the new signings is you can't really tell who's new and who's not. They've all come in, the boys have made them feel very welcome. Day one, they all get their chance to speak in front of the group and say how excited they are, and they all did that, as you'd expect. But no, they've all slotted in seamlessly, and I say it's probably helped them that we've brought a couple of new things and new bits and pieces in, so everybody's learning from the same page rather than having some guys who are naturally ahead of things because certain things have been done a certain way.
And And are you looking forward to block 2 then?
Can't wait, because as a coach, you want games to come around and you want to see how things work. I say at the moment it's easy because it's most of it's bodies in front and grab, but there'll be things you'll need to tweak and change that you'll only find when we come against each other or go live defences, and hopefully as we get nearer and nearer the season starting and those games come around, we'll start to find where the holes in what we've done so far are and plug those gaps and make sure by the time we hit that first Prem game, whenever that is, end of September, we're really ready to go.